and welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So today I have my second part of my book haul because if you haven't seen it already, last week, Sunday, I don't know, one of these recent days, my last video was a Target book haul because I went a little crazy during the buy two get one free sale at Target. And so I made that its own haul because I bought 8 books. Like, that was too many. And I have a huge stack here too. So this is a 2-part book haul month, which is crazy. I don't think I've hauled like this many books in one month in a long time. So let's just dive right in. So like I said, that video was all my Target stuff. This is my book of the month, my pre-orders for the month, which was a lot, and then some random ones that ended up in my collection that I wasn't expecting. So let's get started. The first book is from Book of the Month, and that is Don't Cry For Me by Daniel Black. This was my main choice. I've already read this one. I listened to this one on audio. But this is kind of like an epistolary written novel where a dying father is writing letters to his son. So he's dying of cancer, and basically he never really accepted his son for being gay, so he's kind of writing him all these letters, I think, because they're really estranged at this point, and he's trying to tell him his life story, almost like explaining why he is the way he is, and he gets very raw and very gritty with everything and kind of just like leaves everything on the table. So there's this one. Obviously, I'll talk more about this in my wrap-up, but this was my main choice this month. Then one of the new add-ons this month was I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetys. I've read everything that she's written, so I was like, duh. Originally I was going to possibly pre-order this, but I was like, I've pre-ordered so much for this month, and then the fact that, like, Ruta's last book was a choice for Book of the Month, I thought there was a big chance that this would be too, so I figured I would just get it from here. And this one is cool because I think this one actually takes place in, Romania, in 1989. So Cold War time-ish. Ooh, it's considered a historical thriller. I actually don't know a whole ton about this one. It says, trust no one, tell no one, spies are everywhere. Normally when I have an author that's kind of like an auto-buy author, I tend to like not look into what they're about because I'm just going to buy them anyways. So there's this one. I'm excited to see what this one's like. It's young adult, and I haven't really been prioritizing young adult lately, so we'll see when I get to this one, but hopefully soon-ish. Then I also grabbed this month Love and Other Disasters by Anita Kelly. This was an option back in January, and I didn't pick it because I had others that I wanted more, and so this month I was like, I'm going to grab it, and I believe it's about these two who end up in a cooking competition, which, you know me, you just put cooking and baking in a book, and I'm like all in, so I'm surprised that I didn't grab it actually last month, but like I said, I prioritized others. But I have a feeling that this month, like, I thought I would get to this one in February because of the fact that it's love and baking and stuff, so there's still time in February. I still have 8 more days. No, there's not 30 days in February. That was a really stupid comment. About 6 more days. We'll see. I haven't really been doing such a great job at reading physically, but the font is massive. I could do it. We'll see. But yeah, it's about these two who end up in a cooking competition. I'm assuming that there's some love involved. I believe one of the characters is also non-binary too. I could be totally wrong, but I know that they are part of the LGBTQ plus community. So I'm excited because I don't think I've really read I haven't read a whole ton of romance that doesn't center around heterosexual relationships. So I've been trying to fit more of that into my reading. So we'll see how this one goes. I haven't really seen many people talk about that one. Then, because I'm part of, there's somebody that I was following on Instagram, Mama Leellen. She had her book club on Instagram. She still does, and she does part of it through Book of the Month, and I'm part of that program. So when she chose this month, she chose Peach Blossom Spring by Melissa Fu, and I decided to get it that way as well. So I also have it as a audiobook through Libro FM. This one follows, I believe, like 3 generations of this Chinese family, and I think it's them trying to find their, like, basically their home. I think they end up immigrating to America, I believe. Or maybe not, because it says, spanning continents and generations, Peach Blossom Spring is a bold and moving look at the history of modern China, told through the journey of one family. So maybe it actually takes place mostly in China. Oh, no, because somebody settles in America. So maybe it's both. Maybe it's both. But it is historical fiction, and it is following a generational family, so it should be quite interesting. So hopefully I can get to this one soon. I was hoping to possibly get to that in February, just with Chinese New Year going on, and it just did not happen. Then the rest of the books I pre-ordered. I think there's one. Yeah, I did originally have one pre-order that I did cancel just because I decided to wait for my library to get a copy of it instead. But I did pre-order 6 books this month. The first one is The Violin Conspiracy by Brendan Slocum. Now, this one is definitely one that you're going to want to watch my review for because I've already read this one, and surprise, I really loved this one. So we are following our main character, and he loves to play the violin, and he plays basically his school rental, and it's like the worst thing ever. And his grandma's like, hey, I have your grandfather's in the attic, you can go find it. And so he goes and finds it, and it's like destroyed and gross, but he like kind of fixes it up, and he ends up eventually finding out that it's like $10 million. Like, it's worth like $10 million. So like, it's crazy because his family, besides his grandma, has been really unsupportive of his career the whole time. They were like, you're never going to make it as a violin player. Like, give it up. This is ridiculous. And then now that we've got this like $10 million instrument in play, his family's kind of like, what the heck? And he's got obviously everybody looking at him. And eventually in our story, we find out very early on in the beginning, his violin gets stolen. So now it's looking at, is it his family? Like, does his family want money? There's also another family who is trying to claim that they are the rightful owners to this violin. And there's a lot of stuff about race and things in here. And like I said, wait for my review. It is really, really good. So I'm glad that I pre-ordered this one because it's probably one of my favorites of the year so far. Then I also pre-ordered This Beast, Court by Tracy Wolff. This is the 4th book in the Crave series. I'm kind of mad it did come a little damaged, but I'm not going to get too angry about it. So this is the 4th book in the Crave series. It's massive, just like all the other ones in the series are, so I'm hoping that it'll read quickly, just like the other ones. I won't talk about what this one in particular is about because it's the 4th book. But in book 1, we meet Grace, and Grace's parents have recently passed away, and she goes to live with her uncle and cousin at this like boarding school that he runs up in Alaska, which she then finds out turns out to be this like mythical type of school where there's werewolves and vampires and witches and dragons, and she's like, what is this? Like, this is real life? Like, I didn't know this really existed. And it's basically their journey from there. And there's some romance, and there's action and drama and mystery, and just it's a fun series. I'm glad to finally have book 4 because it was supposed to come out in September, and then it got put off to November. But then with because she decided to do something with a character that she wasn't originally going to do, and then she decided to do it in November, but then the paper shortage happened, so it's now out now. So hopefully I can get to it sooner rather than later, just because it's a beast, and I will probably get unintentionally intimidated by it, and that it'll sit on my shelf for a long time. So hopefully I can get to it sooner rather than later. Then I also have Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead by El Casamano. Now this is the sequel to Finley Donovan is Killing It. I'm really excited to pick this one up because I know that I think that people have been really enjoying it. It takes place right after the first one does. The first one kind of leaves you on a little bit of a cliffhanger. I believe that this one follows a new mystery to an extent. So the first book, we're following Finley. Finley is down on her luck. Her husband is like divorcing her and like wants a whole ton of money from her, and she's struggling to write her next book, and she's struggling to be a parent. And one day she's in a Panera Bread and she is like talking about her newest crime novel with her agent, and somebody misinterprets her and mishears her and basically slips her a note being like, hey, kill my husband for $50,000 or something like that. And they think that she's a hitman, and now she's like stuck in this like, well, why does this person want him dead? And she ends up in a whole bunch of hijinks, and I'm really excited to see how this series continues. Then I also pre-ordered The Family Ciao by Lan Samantha Chang. This one, I forgot how I heard about it, but I heard that it was fantastic, so I immediately was like, I need to. And it's about this man, and I believe he is dying, or he ends up dying, and like the patriarch is found dead, and now all of a sudden all the eyes turn to the sons because they believe that they are the ones that killed him. It kind of reminds me of Agatha Christie's book. Hold on, I just read it recently. Oh, I don't know which one it was. It was an Agatha Christie book, and it followed a very similar. Hercule Poirot at Christmas Time. I don't own it. That's why I couldn't find it up there. Where the patriarch dies, and then they look at all the kids because the kids are next in line to get the money. So I believe that's a very similar situation with this, where now which son could have done it? Could it have been an outside source? Who knows? So I'm excited to give this one a try. It's a lot shorter than I expected it to be, so hopefully it's good. Yeah, barely 300 pages. Then a book that I'm currently reading that I wish I didn't pre-order. This is The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. This was actually a add-on for Book of the Month, but I had already pre-ordered it, and it was already on its way to my house. Again, Book of the Month, stop doing that to me. But yeah, this one is following the Agatha Christie story of, in real life, Agatha Christie goes missing for like 11 days or something like that. And nobody ever really knows what happened to her, like, during those 11 days. So authors have started to write, like, where could she have been? So, like, the mystery of, I think it's just called The Mystery of Mrs. Christie, which I gave 4.5 stars to, or something like that, because I really enjoyed it. That was a play on Where Did She Go? And this is also another play on Where Did She Go? But we are following the perspective of her husband's mistress, because she goes missing around the same time that her husband kind of reveals to her that he's leaving her for another woman. And we're following the mistress and, like, her story. So it's like, where did Agatha Christie go? We're finding that out, but we're also, like, looking at the mistress's past, which is what I'm not a huge fan of. If I had just read that it talked about that in the synopsis, but all I saw was Agatha Christie's missing, I need to read this. But it focuses a lot about this mistress and her backstory, and her backstory is really difficult to read about sometimes, and it's making this a lot slower than I wanted it to be, and not a huge fan, but I'll be finishing this, and you will see more about it in my wrap-up, but I pre-ordered this one. Then I also grabbed The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, because I had to. I know nothing about it, but I see the back, and it says, the socialite, the nice guy, the alcoholic, the girl on the verge, and the concierge. Everyone's a neighbor, everyone's a suspect, and everyone knows something they're not telling you, which very much follows the way she wrote The Hunting Party and the guest list. So I'm super excited. I'm a little bummed because Book of the Month has now shown a little spoiler on their page about, like, what to look forward to in March, and it's this doorway, and I'm like, Book of the Month, you're not doing this to me again. So apparently they are. So we'll see what ends up happening. I may like do something with this copy if I need to get this one technically through Book of the Month. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited to have this one in my hands. I'm loving the pink. I'm really excited to read this one. I'm hoping to get to it in March. We'll see how that one goes. Then here's my random purchases for the month. There's only 4, and I only paid for 2 of them. No, yeah, 2 of them. So one of my random purchases, which you're gonna be like, what did you do? So I bought this baby, House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. So you haven't seen my wrap up yet for this month, but I apparently thought it would be a good idea because everybody was reading this book that I would read House of Salt and Sorrows finally. So it's not called that, is it? I keep calling it Salt and Sorrows. That is a totally different book. What is that book? Blood and House of Earth and Blood. So I've been reading House of Blood, Earth and Blood. I am about 50% through. I'm only on page 400. So you're saying, why did I buy this already? So I bought this because I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw someone selling their copy for $50. And I was like, you're kidding, right? And I was like, I'm not going to fall in love with this first book and then have to pay $50 for the next one. So while I saw it was still in stock at Target, I picked it up. So at this point, I'm liking the first book. But I was nervous that like if I got to the ending and I suddenly loved it and I wanted to have the sequel, I wasn't going to pay $50 for it. So I decided to pick this beast up in preparation. Also, it's weird because this book has like the same amount of pages as book 1, but this one is like massive. I don't know. Apparently I like to buy massive books this month. Then the other random purchase I did was Beautiful Little Fools by Gillian Cantor. I saw somebody reading this one on Instagram and I like saw the synopsis and I was like sold and want it. And I went to go add it to my wish list on Amazon, and because that's where I like keep track of all the books that I want. And it was actually on sale, the hardcover, for $14, and that's exactly how much the paperback was. So I was like, I better buy this now while it's on sale. So I ordered it. This is kind of a Great Gatsby retelling. It like takes place right as where Great Gatsby ends, and we obviously know that Jay Gatsby is shot, and it seems like it should be an open and closed case, but they start to look at the 3 ladies involved. So they start to look at Daisy and Jordan and Catherine, and did one of them have something to do with it? So sounded fun. Then I took place in a random act of kindness day where somebody had the post going on Instagram where you buy something from someone's wish list and somebody will hopefully buy one from your wish list. So I bought something for someone, and I was lucky to be gifted A Taste of Sage by Yafa Esantos. This has been on my wish list for a while. I always find it really interesting to see what people buy from your wish list because they don't necessarily know like what you're interested in. And this was like pretty deep in my list. So I was like surprised that this one was the one that was chosen. But obviously we talked about it. I love romance stories or any type of thing that has to do with cooking. And I believe it's, again, I think it's these 2 people, 2 chefs, and they end up falling in love. I don't actually know too much about it. It looks like she is originally, I think she has, so she opens a restaurant and that fails. And so then she ends up becoming a sous chef for this other chef. I'm assuming it's their love story. But it looks really cute. Look at that. Look how cute. And then it was funny because the same day the Beautiful Fools came, there was another box, and I was like, I only ordered 1 book. Like, what is that? Like, what? Nobody else bought me anything. I'm like, that's so strange. But it was really sweet because this was there, and it was Yes and I Love You by Ronnie Lauren, and I got this from Jules, which is a friend of mine over on Instagram. I talk about her often, Pages and Puppers or Puppers and Pages. You know me, I always mix up the order of her username. But she kindly sent this to me as a random act of kindness, like completely random. Like she just like went on my wish list and bought it and sent it my way. If you didn't know, I always have my Amazon wish list linked in my link on Instagram. I don't usually put it on here because I just don't. I don't know why. But yeah, so she sent me this, and I thought it was so sweet. Ronnie Lauren wrote the series, The One That Got Away, which I love. Like, that's one of my favorite romance series. It's about a whole bunch of people who survive a school shooting, and it's years later, and it's their romances. This one, I don't know what it's about. I think it's about somebody who's a writer, or like she like reviews things. Maybe not. And like she like hides behind her online facade, and now her boss wants her to reveal the truth to the world or lose her job. And I think somebody needs to be her fake boyfriend or something. I don't know. I don't really know. All I know is that it's Ronnie Lauren, and I needed to read it. So thank you so much to Jules for sending this my way. So those are all the books that I got in February. I'm hoping that my March book haul is much smaller. We'll see how that ends up going. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know, did you guys get anything good in February? And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, everybody.